So in Spanish, we have the verbs ser and estar. Two verbs in Spanish that mean one thing in English. So we're going to have to look at when to use ser to mean to be and when to use estar to mean to be. So first I would like you to take the verb ser, make your verb table, and conjugate all of the forms. So the person talking, the person you're talking to, the person you're talking about, for the singular and for the plural, please. Repita, yo soy. Tú eres. Usted es. Ella es. Él es. Nosotros somos. Ustedes son. Ellos son. Our next verb is the verb estar, which also means to be. So go ahead and make a table for estar, please. So let's look at estar. Repita, yo estoy. Tú estás. Usted está. Él está. Nosotros estamos. Ustedes están. Ellos están. Okay, so please note that everybody but the person talking, singular and plural, they all have accents on the A. But estoy no acento, y estamos no tiene acento. So looking at the verbs, both of them mean to be in Spanish. And they're not interchangeable. So you can't just use either one because they both mean to be. What we're going to have to do is realize what we're actually meaning. Which use of to be are we meaning when we're saying to be in English, and decide which one to use in Spanish. So let's look at the verb ser first to look at some of its uses. Our very first use of ser that we did way back in August was to tell the time or to give a date. Do you remember how to ask what either one of those? Good. ¿Qué hora es? What time is it? Right? That's the verb es from the verb ser. And then son las dos, our answer, is also from the verb ser. So if you look down at the bottom of your chart, right, we're not the time, we're not talking to the time, we're talking about the time. The word hora is singular, so we choose the singular thing we're talking about in the bottom left. And on the bottom right, we would choose son las dos because dos is plural. Also, if we look at the date, hoy es el 1 de agosto, August 1st, or today for us, hoy es el 23 de abril, right? Also the day of the week, hoy es martes. All of those es phrases came straight from the verb ser. All right, the next use was one of our other beginning phrases that we talked about maybe in septiembre, and that was your origin or your country of nationality. So where are you from? So we have questions like ¿de dónde eres? Where are you from? Yo soy de San Francisco. Or if you want to get fancy, nosotros somos estadounidenses. We are Americans. We're from the United States. There's one super important word here when you're talking about places that makes you know that you're talking about origin or nationality and not about location. What's the little teeny tiny word that's super important here? De. De is the word that tells us it's where you're from and not where you are at, right? So de is important. Our next use is going to be identifications or equals. So when you want to say this equals that, when you want to identify something, for example, la señora Salmon es profesora. Okay, señora Salmon es profesora. Señora equals profesora. Whenever you're doing that equals kind of thing, you're going to want to use ser. Ustedes son estudiantes. You guys equal Estudiantes. We'll use this for things like family members. He is my brother. He equals my brother. All those sorts of things where you're saying one noun equals another noun. Possession is another way that we've used ser. So when you want to identify the owners of things. So for example, el cuaderno es de Juan. So it is his. Also remember that that de, again, tells us that it's possession. It's an important word there. Otherwise, you'd be saying the cuaderno equals Juan, which is a little bit different. And if it were plural, el lápiz y la calculadora son de Juan. Right, so when we look at this, the cuaderno is not talking. You're not talking to the cuaderno. You're talking about the cuaderno. That's why we title that chart the way we do. So that third row is the things we're talking about. So things like lápiz, calculadora, cuaderno would all go in that third row on your verb chart. Cuaderno is singular, so we have es, and lápiz and calculadora are more than one thing, so we chose son for them. Lastly, our main use of ser, really, I think it all boils down to this, is characteristics. This is the one big word. You want to highlight this one. I think all of those other things, origin, possession, all those things, a lot of them just boil down to the idea of someone's characteristics we use ser for. So, for example, a question here, ¿Cómo es Justin Bieber? I'm asking about Justin Bieber's characteristics. Not saying, how you doing today, Justin? You feeling okay? I'm saying, what is he like? Okay, so I would say, por ejemplo, es joven y es popular. ¿Cómo es Usher? Again, es, what is he like? Describe him to me, is what you're saying when you say ¿Cómo es? ¿Cómo means how, so ¿Cómo es? How is Usher? But this how is Usher means how is he like? Describe him to me. Usher es negro y es famoso. And ellos son guapos. Usher y Justin son guapos. Again, we're talking about them, so we chose the S and the son. All of these are definite characteristics, so we're going to choose ser and not ESTAR. I want to caution you, some people might have learned earlier on that the idea of temporary and permanent. I think that that's going to lead you astray. I think that if you think about characteristics versus conditions, famous, for example, it could be temporary, or being young could be temporary. I wouldn't worry about that so much. I would just say, is being young a characteristic? Yes, it really is. It's not a condition. So you want to stick with the idea of characteristics is our big thing for ser. Next, the verb ESTAR. Uses for the verb ESTAR. Location, location, location. Remember when we were learning our prepositions of place, next to, beside, underneath. All of those things we used ESTAR with them. So let's look at one of our AMHS alum, Carrie Walsh. ¿Dónde está Carrie? Carrie está en la playa, right? That is her location. She's not from the beach. She is located at the beach, so we use está. There is another little teeny tiny word here that with a place tells us we're talking about location and not about origin. What's the little teeny tiny word that's important here? No, there's no day on this page. What's the little word that tells us that she's in the beach? En. So en with a place is going to indicate location and estar. De with a place is going to indicate origin and ser, our previous slide. And our last use of estar is condition. Luis está enfermo. Ugh, look at him. He is not feeling good. La sopa está fría. Yo estoy triste. All of these are going to be conditions. Lastly, we want to look at these important questions. So there's two big questions. ¿Cómo es? How is somebody? And ¿cómo es? How is somebody? So ¿cómo es versus ¿cómo está? So ¿cómo es? How is she? What's she like? Describe is what that's asking for. ¿Cómo está is asking for condition. What are they doing right now?